All right, guys, welcome to the Mark Hope Show. I am your producer, Daniel Kelly, and I'm here with Mark Hope and a couple of special guests. We have Michael Nuanez of the Business Brokerage Services here in Denver, and Wes, a local business owner who's been working with Michael. And we want to talk about businesses and what's going on with you guys. So here we are.
Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. I'd like to kick it off on this Martin Luther King holiday. And with that in mind, I'd like to do a shout out for one of our big sponsors, the Heritage Christian Center. Pastor Saunders over there is a very, very community-minded guy. I was working with him last week on some charity things, and I really look forward to doing work with them in the community, and he does a lot of food bank stuff over there. I was at the center on Saturday, and there's just so much opportunity for the community over there that you'll be hearing way more about that on the show as we go forward. I think there's a lot of chances for people to get in and do some good charity work over there. So shout out for them. I also like to say thank you to Action Computers for all your wonderful sponsorship and Marketing Hope as well, helping us out, right? And the Brokerage Services, a big sponsor of the show. And Michael can talk about that in a little bit. Today's show is really going to be centered about business owners and really what it's like, and continuing our segment of small business owners and really what it's like. Let me pull this up. A lot of times everyone thinks, oh, it's so easy, you're the boss, and everyone has to do what you say, and blah, blah, blah. And nobody realizes, behind the scenes, what's going on. Alex from New Jersey, thanks for dropping in. And so I'd like to kind of kick it off and just say, Wes, you were in community service, you were a cop.
That's right.
And then you decided to buy your first business, and that was a gas station, right?
The liquor store came first.
Okay.
And then I saw how that was going, so I picked up a convenience store.
Okay.
I don't have it anymore, but it dovetails in. It's, you're selling beverages. It's not the same, but similar.
Okay. So let's talk about the breakaway from being a 9-to-5 guy working a job. And then you saying, "Hey, look, I've had enough of this. I want to do my own thing." What happened there? What made you want to do that?
Well, I went to business school in college. Of course, no one really uses their college degree for what they got it for, but I had that in my back pocket, so I always thought business was interesting. And I've always gone to liquor stores to buy beverages.
Right.
So, about the time I had a few dollars in my savings account and I realized I had a down payment in hand, and I kept coming in contact in my work with people that ran and owned stores, and they were, just like me, just a regular guy. They seemed like they were doing good, and I just thought to myself, I can do that. I don't have to have a boss. I don't have to have this type of job. It's another path it looks like I can do that, and I went for it.
And we talk a lot on the show about, having a side gig, doing something part-time, and then kind of, metamorphosizing out of your regular job into your growing side gig job. This seems like more of a hatchet. Like you got the thing and then quit your job.
Or you've been talking to my wife.
Is that what happened?
It was definitely a jump ship type of situation, but the liquor store actually has been around since 1970, and it's stable, and so I was looking at numbers and the history of it and realizing that, I didn't have to show up and try to figure out how to start something from scratch and see if it was going to work. I could just plug right in and just do what the last guy did, and I'd be fine. And so I was that convinced that I could pull it off without really any experience that I went for it.
Which is a common thread. Trying to reinvent the wheel business-wise when I started my computer company back in '93, there were dozens of people that were doing computer shops. And I picked the street where there was the most successful computer shops on the street or in the town. And my thought was, all I got to do is just do it better than them.
Right.
I mean, why reinvent the wheel? I just got to just go do it, and then we can do it better than they are, better customer service, better, policies and procedures and buying relationships. And lo and behold, 25 years later, we're the king of the industry now.
Well, you're the only one left.
Not true.
Oh,
there's
there
a
are
bunch
others?
of there's a bunch
Okay.
of them that are out there, but we're still so much better than they are, and now we have 25 years of experience on them. So it's a much bigger advantage for us. And going back to what you were saying, all you got to do is just have the work ethic to go in there and just say, look, if that last guy can do it, I can do it. And I think I can probably do it better than him. So you picked out a liquor store in Colorado Springs and said, this is going to be my hill.
Exactly.
And how did that happen? There was a guy selling it himself? Did you go to a broker like Michael? Or, how did that happen?
Well, there's a website called bizbuysell.com, and it has businesses for sale. I think it's the largest one, and you can go on there and peruse different stores that are for sale in different areas, and you can get an idea roughly of how much sales the store is doing, and you have to sign non-disclosure agreements to get specifics, but you can get an idea. And so I knew Colorado was a place I wanted to go. I love the mountains and I love hiking, and I can just basically do that all I want. And so Colorado was where I wanted to look. And I just scrolled through until I found one that was like roughly in my price range, and it looked like it was doing pretty well. And when I found out more about it, it was in a part of town that I liked, and it just started looking like this might be the one for me.
And like I told you in the green room before the show, when we were kind of doing our pre-show, I have a tendency to be nosy, and I'm going to ask questions that probably nobody should ask. But I'm going to ask them anyways because the audience loves to hear those questions. So if you don't mind, just, let us know when we've crossed the line. But I will cross it for sure. What did they want for the business? How much?
It was between 300 and 400.
Okay.
And the thing about liquor stores, especially now, is when you get a liquor license, you have a protected area, which is nice. That's one of the nice things about the new law. But what you're buying is, how stable is the business? What's the potential? And compared to some other stores that I looked at, it looked like it was a decent value.
Now, did you go in after you were kind of scouting around? You kind of went in and snooped around, but like you're a customer, and tried to see what was going on.
I got the specifics about the store, and there was a broker that was selling it, so I was back and forth with him, and he'd give me, I had never done it before, so he's like, this is how it works. Here are the numbers. And he's like, you ought to come in and you can check it out. And so I flew into town, and I went to the store and shopped it, bought something and checked it out. And then I got to meet the owner of the store, and I basically got, to look behind the scenes a little, the storeroom, the back office, things like that, and kind of got a behind the scenes look at it. And it looked everything like I thought it did on the internet when I was checking it out. And it was, everything I learned about it, it was cementing it more and more that, like, yes, you can do this. Yes, this looks like everything they're saying it is. And, this is going to be the new you.
So then what happened?
So at that point, I talked to the broker. We came to an agreement on price, and I applied for an SBA loan, Small Business Administration. And so you're basically putting down 25% or so and then getting a loan for the rest. And it's a little cumbersome as far as loans go, paperwork wise, but the business had no problem applying or approving for the loan. And once that paperwork came through, it's kind of like buying a house. There's in escrow almost, and there's, back end paperwork that, I don't know, the broker does a lot of it. And
Well, we've got a broker right here.
We do.
Michael, why don't you tell us about that process? And really, if a customer comes in, like Wes did,
Yes.
to you,
Yes.
your brokerage service handles most of those details for
Correct.
them. They don't have to be an expert at getting a loan or will the business appraise or should we do it. You work. That's part of your job, right?
That is my job, Mark, and thank
Okay.
you for asking the question. So at Business Brokerage Services, we're a full service brokerage firm. I like to consider us a cradle to the grave and then some. So in situations like Wes, as a transactional broker, Wes would give me a call. Hey, Michael, I see that you're listing this particular business. I'd like to get some more information on it. Just like Wes said, I'd send him an NDA. He reads over the NDA, agrees not to disclose any of the financial information or the stuff that's really pertinent to that particular business or that's proprietary to that business. So he reads over it. He agrees not to share it with anyone. At that point, I send him the information. The financials, the location. Those are the big things. The financials and the location, because people always want to know, where's it at? Hey, Mark, where's it at?
Right.
Well, I can't disclose that because I'm protecting the seller at this point, and you need to agree not to disclose this to anyone else.
Or disrupt the business
Exactly.
and bother the employees that are working
Exactly.
there or whatever.
So at that point, you send the information, and I always ask people, go look at it. Go as a customer. Go buy a soda. Go buy a 6-pack. Go buy a 12-pack. Go fill up your tank, whatever the business is. Go buy
Just go in
whatever
there
it is.
stinking
go take a
drunk
look.
and see what
Well,
happens.
let's not do that.
No?
But no,
Okay.
no. So you take a look at it, and what I like to encourage people is you go in and you get a feel for it. Can I see myself behind the counter? Can I see myself in this location? Can I, just like Wes said, Wes is coming from outside of state. I know he's coming from the West Coast. So he wanted to see, can I see this place? Can I see myself behind the counter? It's in a place I want to be. The mountains are right there. I want to hike. I want to fish. I want to do what, he's an outdoorsy guy.
So you really jumped in with both feet. I mean, you were living in where? Oregon?
Oregon.
So you said, we're moving our house. We're moving to Colorado. We don't know anybody. We don't know what's going on. All we know is we like to ski, and I'm quitting my job.
Well, when I was in college, when finals were over, I'd have some drinks and I'd go to the liquor store and I'd buy something. And I remember walking down the sidewalk. I don't remember if I was going to or from class, but I started thinking about it from a business perspective, and I realized, well, if I fail this final, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to probably go to a bar with my friend and, have some drinks, maybe get drunk. I don't know, because I'm, upset. And I'm like, well, what happens if I get an A on this final? Well, I'm probably going to go drinking for celebration.
To celebrate, yeah.
And then I'm like, well, that sounds like a good product to sell.
Yeah.
If I may, people love liquor stores. They love buying them. They love buying them. They love buying them. The reason why they like them is people drink when they're happy. People drink when they're sad. And most importantly, people drink when they're thirsty.
Right.
And it doesn't change. So they're great investments.
So, you decide that.
You want to do it?
No, why don't you go ahead and do it? We got an audience comment.
You guys are going to break in here for a second here. So John J.J. Jeffrey says, Michael, I'll reach out later this week to you. I've got a couple people in mind that would be interested in what you do.
Great.
So there you go.
I'm looking forward to it, John.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Hey, JJ, you make sure and tell me I want the commission on that. You got this new area you're looking at. You're married, right?
That's right.
So you're back home trying to sell this whole thing to her. No, honey, this will be great.
She's pretty good. She's up for an adventure. It really wasn't. I mean, she didn't go to business school or anything, you know. I mean, she's got an associate's degree, but she worked retail before we had kids, and she's got some, you know, some street sense and common sense. And you know, I involved her in the whole process. You know, this is what I want to do. You know, hey, look, look at this website. You know, they have businesses for sale, and I'd see one and I'd send it to her, just like if I was going to buy, like, you know, a dirt bike, and I wanted, you know, let her know, you know, this is what I'm going to do, and I tried to involve her.
This is a smart man right here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you need to get your wife on board with things that you're doing, or else
Yes, you do.
you're not going to have a high rate of success.
That's
So,
right.
your partner in life, your wife is on board. She's saying, let's do this together. So you guys go to Colorado. You meet out the details on it. It's what you thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
And so you work out the price. You make an offer. Then what happened?
So they accept the offer, and once they do that, we've got a, you know, contract contingent upon financing, basically just like a house. I go to an SBA lender, and I just start giving them paperwork. You know, here's all the, you know, they just send me a list of everything they need, and it's basically based on, from what I remember, it's based on the store. It's not really based that much on me. Of course, I need the down payment, but you know, they're looking that the store is going to do it, not like, you know, how much experience I have, because I had none.
What about your credit? Did they care about that?
You know, I don't remember.
Michael?
They do a little bit about a credit,
buyer needs
but
to be
again, just like
solid.
Wes said, it's mostly geared towards the business. The business has to cash flow. The business has to carry the loan, carry his family, carry his lifestyle. If he's got a mortgage of $10,000 a month and the store's only making $10,000 a month, that's not going to cash flow. If the store's making $10,000 a month, you know, and I'm just using easy numbers, $10,000 a month, and he's got a $1,000 mortgage, it's cash flowing. So again, what Wes said is absolutely correct. The SBA looks at the store first. That's the primary thing they look at. They look at the business to make sure that the business cash flows, the numbers match the tax returns match the POS numbers, and everything is above board and it looks good. Sometimes it's not, and sometimes you need to be
but
creative.
the reason that I asked the questions is because the reason we have Wes in here as a real business owner to ask those hard questions is because if we've got listeners that are out in the audience and they're listening to the show, we want to have them say, hey, you know, if that was me, what would it be like? Well, maybe I don't have the perfect credit score. Maybe I need to work on that, and maybe I need to save up 25% and get ready to do that, and then, you know, kind of try and pick out. Now, Michael, you're in your brokerage. Can people contact you and say, I'm not ready yet?
Yes.
But.
And what we do is we'll send you to a couple of classes and teach you how to get ready to buy a business. Take a couple of classes and teach you how to get ready to sell your business. How to get ready to buy
evaluated
a business.
and ready, and then you'll sit down with them and say, okay, you've got your credit taken care of. You need to get $5,000 more in savings for your down payment, and we need to do this, that, and the other thing,
Correct.
and then let's go looking
Correct.
for something.
Correct. And everybody's got a budget. We try to keep you in your budget so you're not overextending yourself. Like Wes told the story. He had a few dollars in his savings account. He knew he wanted to do something, and he liked this particular business, so he went out and looked at it, and he came up with a down payment. He had good enough credit score to get it, and I don't know what Wes's credit score, but he's absolutely right. They're looking primarily at the business.
Okay, so
once,
they get you an escrow,
Yep. So
and
once
they're looking at everything.
Yeah, and the SBA came back and they said that's fine. You know, you go through a bank. It's basically a bank loan. SBA just means it's federally guaranteed, and so
For small businesses.
right. And so, you know, the actual person you're dealing with is someone at a bank, and so.
And this is a real pressure period for the business seller, really, not as much the buyer. You know, because you're the buyer, and now everybody's hardcore looking at the business. Is it jive? Is it right? Whatever. I mean, you know, checking everything. So that's part of the process that makes sure you get a good deal. Because I know there's a lot of people that are in your situation, you're changing your whole life, taking on this debt, putting all your cash into it. You got to make sure you're not buying a pig in the poke. And Michael, that's where you come in, right?
Yes. Yep.
You're looking at everything for them and
Yes.
make sure, hey, this is going to do what we say it's going to do for you. Years down the line, you're going to be happy that you invested your time and your money into this thing through this process.
Correct. And just as Wes said, again, I keep coming back to, Wes is telling a typical story of how this works. He looked at the numbers. He saw that it had some historical data from 1970. He saw the historical data. He sees if it's going up, tracking down, trending up, trending down, stabilizing and plateauing. It doesn't matter. Different businesses do different things, and people see the potential in where they can go. But again, my job is kind of to vet the owner, make sure that the numbers are real, the numbers are right, and then at that point we turn them over to a potential buyer like Wes, and Wes looks at them and says, okay, yeah, I see this, asks questions. Well, this is what this means. This is what the net profit means, and kind of explain everything. And at that point, if once he makes the contract and offer, we take it to the bank. The bank then has to vet the tax returns and make sure that everything looks good. And then that's more of the process. It's a very in-depth process. Start to finish. Tell me what it took for you. But the best you can do is if you're paying cash, and you're looking at about a 2-week process. At worst, you're looking at a 2 months process. How long did yours take, Wes?
It was about 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
And obviously, this story, and I hate to be a spoiler, but this is going to have a really happy ending because Wes got the store and was very successful, and so. But later on, Michael, I want to have you come back, and I want to hear some of the horror stories.
Sure.
I want to hear
Sure.
some of the ones that went completely left turn, off the cliff. Obviously, Wes's story is, he's got a great business and he's enjoyed it.
Been very successful.
But there's some of them that turn a little sour, right?
It happens from time to time, and generally it's owner operated.
And that's the morbid thing that's me. I want to see the train wreck of the businesses.
It happens sometimes.
I bet
But nothing's
it does.
guaranteed.
Sure.
Nothing's guaranteed in life, and we do our best at Business Brokerage Services to make sure that we have quality opportunities for sale.
Sure.
But I can't run it for you. I'm not going to be there after the sale. I'm not going to be there to run your register, to tell you how to do your taxes. Those are things that you learn, and sometimes you make mistakes. I've told you many times, I've owned, I don't know, probably 15 small businesses, and the first one I ever owned was wildly successful, but I didn't really do things the way I should have. And I learned from that, and everyone since then I've done the right thing. But the first one was
Experience is a hard teacher
exactly.
because she gives you the test first.
Yep.
Then the answers afterwards.
Afterwards. Good point.
So we go through the 2 months worth of due diligence, and then now we reach closing day.
Yep.
What was that like?
Well, I was nervous.
You have it
of
on your
course.
calendar. Hey, we're going
Yeah.
to close on this
I'm
thing.
like, wow, this is finally happening. This is the day. Is it really going to happen? And we did a morning close, so it was before the store opened. So there's the seller and me and my wife and the broker's there, and the closing attorney is there, and the guy from the credit card processor's there to make sure that the cards go into my account. And I'm like,
and so you did the closing in the actual store.
In the store.
You were in your new store closing it
Right.
down. Wow.
And so they came in, and there was an inventory company that counted all the inventory because, it's a fluctuating number. And so they counted the inventory, and we're signing paperwork, and I give the down payment check, and they've got the loan paperwork. And then right about the time 9 o'clock rolled around, we were wrapping it up, and that's when we opened for business. And and then we're opening the door, and I'm like, I'm supposed to be behind the register doing this, and this really, oh my gosh, and so
That's crazy.
the first couple sales were exhilarating and a little nervous, but after 20 minutes I'm like, okay, I'm just standing on the other side, it's not much
I've been doing this my whole life.
Right. Yeah. Instead of putting the bottle on this side, I'm taking it and scanning it. You hit a couple buttons and boom, and after half a day, I'm looking at my wife and she's looking at me, and I'm like, we're doing it.
We're doing this.
Yeah. And so it was definitely an exciting
Now,
day.
did your wife worked at the business with you? You guys, did she do that, or did she work a straight job?
No, she stays at home with the kids.
Okay.
But she has retail experience, from jobs before. Of course, she hadn't worked in a long time because she's been raising our kids, but she's got an idea of how those things are supposed to be.
So she kind of knows how to run the liquor store in case there's an emergency and somebody had to go down and open it up, or.
Yeah, she could. She usually doesn't. I mean, we have employees and they're great. I mean, the past year, basically, I've been working on another project and hardly there, and
Right.
they've been making all the purchasing decisions with the vendors and stocking the store, opening and closing, making cash deposits. So, if there's an emergency, she can do it. But she was good because she would teach me things about you got to face all the products. You want the labels all straight, and you want them straight on the line, and don't leave an empty hole on the shelf, and
Right.
like what a guy's house would look like if they didn't have a wife.
Right. No,
Yeah.
I got you.
Well,
I believe me.
it's like the woman's touch, basically, and she knew the things I didn't, and so that was helpful.
Do you want to go into why that's important? Why is that important to face the labels and to make sure there are no holes?
Well, when I go to a store, if there's a bunch of holes in the shelf and there's only like one product on the shelf, I'm thinking, well, how long has that one been there?
Exactly.
And like, are they going out of
Good.
business, or like, how fresh is this stuff? Or, I start thinking all these things, and so I want to.
I call it the Costco battery
That's
syndrome.
exactly it.
When you walk into Costco and there's a pallet full of 9-volt batteries, taller than you, there's 1 million batteries on the pallet at Costco. You're automatically assuming, I'm going to get a good deal on batteries because they have so many of these, because so many other people are buying them. And out of all those other people that are buying them, some of them are really smart. Not like me, but some of those smart guys are making the decisions to buy their batteries here, or else they wouldn't have so many. So I'm going to copy what those smart guys are doing. I'm going to buy my batteries off that pile of batteries.
I think the same thing.
Right? So we want to have the stock nice and deep.
Yes.
Exactly.
Oh, and always
And it
never,
just
never
looks
take the battery off the front. Always get the battery in the back.
Yep. Yep.
'Cause that's a better one.
Milk too.
That's a better one. Everything.
Yep.
Gosh, you've been like, that's exactly what I think. That's crazy.
So
The
you're,
older I get, the more I realize I'm just like everybody else,
you're unique, just like everyone else. So you're in the store and you guys are running it. Now this is your thing, and you go home that night and you're like, holy crap, we own a business now.
Right. Well, it was interesting because I'm thinking, gosh, I'm going to jump off the dock into the deep water and there's no one there to tell me what to do. Well, the nice thing is, there's like usually some training on the back end. So the guy I got the store from, he's a Korean gentleman. So I had a little bit hard time understanding what he was saying sometimes, but he was super nice and I could tell he cared about customers. And I tried to pick up everything that he was telling me. And for 2 weeks, he basically was there when I was there. And, whenever I had a question, I'd just look over and ask, or he'd, throw out some advice to me, like, hey, maybe you'd want to think about this, or I've been doing it like that. And so that was helpful to know that, for 2 solid weeks, I had someone that I could rely on that knew what was going on to tell me, what to do. So that was very
But I
helpful.
love that no boss thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because you find I gave up on having bosses a long time ago. But except for now, all the customers are my boss, so I really didn't get rid of anything. But it really is kind of exhilarating to know that you want to get up and go in the morning. You don't have to get up and go in the morning. And so then you kind of alluded to it, but one of the really cool things about Chris Caramoni popped in here. If they don't care about what their store looks like, what is their customer service like? Good job.
Good point, Chris.
He's a 911 dispatcher. So, I don't know about his customer service, but it better be good.
Everything's recorded, huh, Chris?
And it's life or death.
Right.
I tell all my people that I'm
There's
talking
that.
to, hey, this isn't surgery. Don't worry about it. Nobody's going to die.
That's a good point that you bring up. I've been in jobs before where things are life or death. There's there's things at stake, and
It's kind of nice to be pushing some beer where who cares?
well, yeah. So like someone grabs a 12-pack with only one hand and the handle rips, and it's like, oh no, a couple bottles broke, and it's like, well, no one's gonna get fired, no one's going to the hospital, like, I think I can deal with that.
Yeah, there's no body on the gurney that we have to worry about. I mean, it's just
Nobody second guessing what you did in a life second emergency decision or anything like that. Yeah,
absolutely. No. Well, I love, from my experience, I love the merchant lifestyle. I love value for value. Mm-hmm. When I'm on the other side of a counter and I'm handing a computer or something over to somebody and I'm making their life better and they're giving me cash, I love that. Oh, you're going to have a party here? Let's do this. Let me suggest this wine. Let me suggest, whatever. And in the liquor business, you've got a lot of different things that you can be known for, right?
Definitely. Some stores, they have a lot of different craft beers, or some store has a wine expert that knows everything about all these types of wines and what kind of food you need to pair it with. And, that was one of the things that I was worried about is, okay, yeah, I can drink Jack and Coke, but like I don't really know that much about the back end of anything, or like I don't drink wine, so like I don't really know that much about it. So that's a thing you want to look at when you're going into a if you're going to purchase a store, is this a wine specialty store, and like do I even like wine or know anything about wine? I happen to be one of the things that I thought this store is for me, besides it being in a good location, is it's like the basics. You know what I mean? I mean, sometimes, the thing we're really talking to customers about is like, where is it on the shelf,
Right.
And so it doesn't really take much specialized knowledge. Now, wine is
and what's on sale.
Right, exactly.
The distributors come out, hey, we got a good on sale on this, and we've got Busch Light or whatever. It's stacked up to the ceiling for your football party or whatever.
Well, the funny thing about sales is, everyone likes getting a good deal on something.
Right.
I'm a consumer. I buy stuff, and when something's on sale and I buy it, I'm excited. I tell my wife about it or something. Go, what kind of deal I got today? It's kind of funny that it's the same thing when I put something on sale and then people buy it because they realize it's a good value. It's still fun when I put things on sale and see like others enjoying it.
Sure. Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about with that. That is nice. And then it's exciting to talk about, well, something's coming.
Well, you're providing a service to somebody, and you're making somebody's day. If you're selling Jack for a $7.50 of Jack for $19.99, and normally it's $24.99, you're saving them $5, and everybody's happy. You're winning. You're selling. You're getting. You made a large purchase. You're getting it out of your store. You're making a good margin. They're excited because they're getting a heck of a deal, and they're going to be able to have some fun.
Well, I think if you're running a business correctly, and especially a business like what you're talking about, it's a social thing. Mm-hmm. You're the neighborhood liquor store. The people come in, they get to know you. They come in for their weekend parties or whatever, stock up on things, and it's nice to have a really good relationship. And that way, when you're at work, you can have a good time at work. Daniel, I mean, how many times have I said this? When I hand somebody my business card, I better not ever be embarrassed by the fact that I did that. So everybody better take care of all the customers, because when I come to work, I want to be happy. Now, maybe there's an unhappy customer that happens every once in a while, and some people are unreasonable. That's okay. But most of the time, I want to be dealing with a customer that says, yeah, you're always thinking about me. You're always trying to give me a good deal. You're always trying to, and that's important.
That's very important. My store in particular, it's a neighborhood store. There's a gas station across the street, but other than that, it's not like it's in a strip mall. It's not, there's not a grocery store right there. It's on a 4-lane road, but it's a residential area. There's a lot of foot traffic, and so we get to know our customers really well, and it is good. Like you're saying, when you put something on sale, they're saving money, and and they appreciate that.
It.
When a holiday comes up and I've got like my employees are at the store, like on Thanksgiving, because we're open, customers will bring them plates of food.
That's awesome.
And it's like, man, you really see like they appreciate you and what you do.
Frank Van Hester wants a big shout out. Big Frank, professional poker player. I don't think everybody could do your business. Tell me about the building. You rented the building, or did you buy the building?
No, I'm a tenant there. I got a great landlord. He's good. He's got a suite on the side of the building. He's not really using it that much, but so I have a suite in the building. It's a standalone building. There's lots of parking, street parking, which is great. I think rent's pretty cheap. And
But that's a whole nother thing that you had to learn when you took over the business. I mean, like,
Right.
now I got to learn, what a cap rate or a triple net lease is, or what should I do with all that stuff. And it's just a real, when you, let me ask you this question. You can tell me yes or no. When you make this plunge into becoming a business owner, the greatest quality I think you can possess is the ability to learn, keep growing and learning about things that are coming along.
Well, definitely. I mean, even if you've bought one business before and you buy another business, well, like, there's going to be things that are different. And so, yeah, you got to be a sponge, you want to, I mean, that's part of, going places you've never been, or being on an adventure, or like, learning a new hobby. It's, well, like, that's what life's about, the spice of life,
Yep.
variety. And so, one of the things we didn't talk about was getting that lease in place during the contract period. I found out there's like something called CAM. I know you probably know more about it.
Common area maintenance.
Some places have it, some places don't. I don't have to deal with that, which is great. So I don't have to worry about it. But I think on SBA loans, you have to have a 5-year lease. Is that the minimum, I think?
Well, you have to. The way the SBA works is, however long your loan is, the term of your loan, you must have a lease for that long. You must have legal possession of that. So you don't have. In most SBA situations, it's a 10-year lease. So you can have a 5-year lease term, but you must have a 5-year option at your behest. That way, you have legal possession for 10 years, and you can pay back the loan because the bank wants to be paid back.
Right.
I'm going to open the phone lines.
Sure.
Ever okay with that? All right, guys, I'm going to open up the phone lines at this point. If you have any questions for Wes or Michael, feel free to give us a call. Our lines are open. The phone number is 720-507-1939. We're here to take your calls about business, buying, selling, brokering, anything business related. Give us a call. We are here. And keep going. I'll let you know when somebody calls in.
Thank you, Daniel. So you negotiated the lease, and you're running the store, and now, as you alluded to before, you kind of put in all that hard work in the front of it, and now you get a little bit of the payback on the other end. You don't have to work so hard
Right.
because you kind of own the place.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. You're the one making the decision. Do you want to work open to close every single day that it's open? Or do you want to have other people doing that and you're just, checking in and making sure everything's working correctly? So like right now, I work 2 days a week, and then I have people running the store the rest of the time, which is awesome. I've got 2 boys at home. I've got a wife. I love going hiking, and there's mountains like I've talked about right here that I like to explore. So, it gives me time to hang out with my kids, go to their sporting events, take my wife out on a stroll on a, wooded trail in the mountains and spend
And the whole
quality
time the money's coming in.
Right. Exactly. Now, if money was tight and, I had something big I had to pay for, I could set it up where I could just...
Give yourself a job.
Yeah, exactly. But, that's not my situation right now, because you can see things
Or if
down the road.
something went wrong or whatever, then you'd have to step back into that role of the ultimate responsibility. And it's like,
Right.
well, somebody quit. I got to go hire somebody and retrain somebody. Otherwise, then I'll get back on my program.
Yeah, it happens, for sure. But in general, you get to make the decision on what you want the schedule to be like. And so it's definitely a benefit.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for coming and talking to us tonight. I really appreciate it. Obviously, owning a business for you has turned out to be the thing that you should do.
Definitely.
That's awesome. And I love the stories of, the people that just do it, that, oh, my dad died and I inherited $12 million. So I had to, it's always the other guy that gets to do it. I love the stories of people that just were like, that's my dream. I'm going to go after that. And I'm a Johnny Lunch Bucket type guy. And, I'm doing this thing. And then the success story comes out of it. I mean, that is how fortunes are made. That's
Wes
how
is
it's
a
built.
perfect example. I mean, he had a not necessarily a 9-to-5 job. His was kind of a 24/7 all over nights and weekends job. But
somebody's telling him when to come in and what to do.
Yeah,
and
he had a time to come in. He had time to go away, and he had, those things that a lot of people really, really absolutely need, like healthcare benefits, things like that. And he had the courage to jump into his own business and do his own thing and make his own life. And, Wes makes a very good living for working 2 days a week. That's kind of the trade-off. You can't have one without the other. Sometimes you have to give up a few things to get a few things. And, I think Wes made the right decision, but, that's for Wes to make that decision,
Well, and that's what I love about, this show and what we do for the small business people out in the community is we like to talk about the things that people are thinking about, and they get to kind of peek into what the reality is, and a lot of them I think are out there saying, oh, I could never do that, or it's too much, or I couldn't afford it, or you have to be a big player to do it, and you just really don't.
The thing that I kept thinking about when I was at my job was people would always complain. They complain about this and they complain about that, and they don't like their boss and they don't like the way things are, what they're doing. Well, I met some of the upper management where I was working, and I thought some of the decisions they're making didn't make any sense to me. And I started to realize that I could continue to subject myself to this, even though, I'm getting paid and, I've got benefits and things like that. But then I started looking at it and realized, well, if I did my own thing and I didn't like the way something was doing, well, I would just change it.
You affect the change.
Right. And so, like I said before, everyone likes to complain, but no one wants to do anything. And it's well, just do it.
Well, and sometimes you can't.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not something you don't think about it on Monday, and Tuesday you go out and buy a business. You gotta do the right things. You gotta save some money. You gotta look at the ones that are for sale. I mean, you gotta put a little bit of effort into it, but the dividends, if you do it right.
Well, I actually worked for a large corporation as an executive, and without trying to blow my own horn, my divisions and the areas that I worked over were always number one. And when it came time for one of my regional managers to get promoted to VP or get somebody to get advanced, they were 1, 2, 3, 4 in the company. But number 16 over here gets promoted because he plays golf with somebody that's on the board. And it's how can I look at these guys in their face and say, guys, work your asses off, make profit, that's what we're here for, excel in what you're doing, and I will make sure that you will get rewarded. And then when they do all those things and then the corporate entity doesn't allow that to happen, that's when I got frustrated and I left. And I said, when I own a company, it's going to be different. And then I went and started my company, and it was different. It doesn't matter if you play cards with me. It doesn't matter if we're buddies from college. Everybody's equal, and I love the person who is selling the most. I love the person. I mean, and don't tell me, oh, you're comparing me to the new guy. Well, you've been here 5 years. Seniority means nothing. With your 5 years experience, if you can't beat this new guy, there's something wrong.
Something's wrong.
I mean, because with my experience, I can work 1 day a week and outperform the people that are there just because of the sheer experience. But it's performance based and it's performance pay, and we
it is
we kill, right, Michael?
We've talked about that before
We
many
what we
times.
kill.
Mark. Yep.
And
eat what you kill.
I started in this business and I didn't know anything about retail. And that was my advantage. I didn't know it was wrong. I didn't know you shouldn't incentivize all the salespeople. Everybody that works for me gets a bonus, performance bonus. Every single person that works for me is unheard of in retail, computer retail. But I did it, and all my people get bonuses, and they take care of the customers, and customer satisfaction is figured into their bonus, and they get rewarded. And, they get promoted based on their, enthusiasm and performance. And a lot of those people that are complaining, like at your last job, they just don't last because nobody listens. I don't want to listen to your complaining. Change it, And if your way is the better way, it's now our way.
Yep.
We'll change it over to your way, and we'll all do it that way.
Yep.
But those big corporations, it's tough. And I think that's why a lot of us end up where you ended up, because I want to be in control of my destiny. I want to be in control of my people's destiny. I want to be able to keep my promises. And you just can't do that working for some big organization. Maybe there's some that you can do it with, but I found that running your own thing allows you to do that more.
Well, it's performance based is what should matter in any organization, whether it's for profit or not. And I've been the low man on the totem pole, and I thought I've had a good idea, but like no one wants to hear it. Yeah. And when I hire someone and I bring them into my store, on the first day, I tell them, look, if you have an idea, tell me. I'm not here to be, ego driven. We're here to run a successful business. And if you've worked somewhere else and they do something that you like, well, tell me, let's talk about it.
Let's steal that idea.
If it's better than what we're doing,
Absolutely.
We'll do it. And it's that's what it's about. And it fosters a team environment too, but it lets people know, you're valued as an employee. And just because you're new doesn't mean you don't have something worthwhile to say,
But the key is, you have to tell me why. You can't just say something, but you have to give me the meaningful gears of why it works and how it works and what it is. And that is, everyone is included in that rule, including me.
And no matter if you're the owner or the janitor, it doesn't matter.
You guys need to do it this way.
Yep.
Why?
Yep.
Because this, and one of those answers better not be because I'm the boss.
Right. That doesn't work anywhere.
Nope. Well, it doesn't work in successful organizations, and if one of my managers ever did it, they don't get to stay working for me.
Yep.
Because it means that you don't care about your employees, or you're too damn lazy, or you don't know what you're doing.
Well, I've known Wes for quite a few years, and he's been very successful, and we talked about this before. When you empower your employees and you believe in your employees and you support them, and you get behind them and you tell them there's only one way we go, and that's up. It's not left. It's not my way. It's not your way. It's up. You pull that direction. You pull everybody in the same direction, and you have no choice but to go up. Even if you make some mistakes along the way, that's fine. You learn from your mistakes, and you learn how to do it better next time.
Absolutely. And things change, and it's dynamic, and but the point that I'm making off of what Wes's point is when you own the place, then you can determine what the culture is. You can determine what's important. Is ass kissing important, or is taking care of the customers important? Because we don't get paid much for our kissable asses.
It doesn't pay the bills.
Well, and everyone suffers. And then, the customers go away and the paychecks go down, and eventually people lose their jobs, and you weren't a great manager.
I just always think back to my feelings and how I felt in jobs, I wish my boss would do this, or, what if I have an idea, or how come they don't do that? And so, whenever I'm talking to my people, I think about those things, and I'm like, okay, when I was in their position, what did I want to know? Or, why are we doing this? Or it's just, and plus when you explain things like you're saying, it elicits more responses from the people that you're working with, and it's more of a two-way street. And like Michael's saying, it's going to be a team. And when you have a team and everyone's putting in, they're going to feel better, and they're going to be happier about their work, and you're going to move up.
Absolutely.
It's definitely what it's
And the
about.
team's going to be more successful, and you're going to make more money.
Right.
I've been in situations with bosses where I've said, all you would have to do to make things happy and productive and kosher and wonderful around here is just not show up. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are just like me that have a boss. Everybody's firing all cylinders, and you just come in and screw it up.
That happens. And that's
Where you would have a very profitable business if you just stayed home, let the employees do it. And I always learn from those bad bosses as well as from the good bosses. And, there's been times in my career where I back off and I say, guys, do your thing. I'm not going to bother you with any meetings. I'm not going to do anything. You have a lot to do. I want you to do it. I'm going to do my job, and I'm going to go in my office, and I'm going to figure out different ways for us to make money and different new things while you guys go about the business of really getting out there and doing your thing. And a good boss needs to know how to step out of the way, just like you working 2 days a week. I mean, that's enough to come in and just make sure that everybody has what they need, but you're not in there, with the multiple chefs in the kitchen screwing everything up.
Definitely. I mean, for people to feel that they can make a decision on their own, you gotta let them loose a little bit and see how they do. It's just like your kid. Like if you got training wheels on their bike, they're never gonna ride very far. You gotta kick them loose a little and see how they do.
And let them fall down a little bit.
Right.
But then you hear that kind of positive language, that empowered language, when you've got a night manager at your store who talks about his store, my store. Oh, it's down at my work. They're on social media. Oh, we've got a big sale at my store. Well,
they're taking ownership.
That's good.
And that's you want that.
Yeah.
As a boss, you want that.
Absolutely.
You want people to buy into what you're selling, and you want to buy into what they're providing. You know what? I have an idea. I have a better way of doing this. I stole it from my last store that I worked at. Fine, let's take it. Let's go. Let's move that.
Well, everybody
let's
is
move
a
up.
product of their previous self. So if you are, it's just like the guy that hires an expert and then won't listen to him. Oh, here's what I want to do. Well, I'm the engineer. I think we should do it this way. No, I want it curved. Okay, well, have it however you want to. I mean, you're paying me, and then you're not listening to me. Same thing with good employees. If you hire bright, capable employees, let them run.
Agreed.
All right.
Nobody's called yet, but you never know. Did your computer die?
Yeah,
It's plugged in? No?
I think I just went to sleep.
No, of course. That happens.
Do you have any last minute thoughts? We'll kind of wrap it up.
I would just
Anything you wanted to get out there, Wes?
I would just tell people that if you're thinking about it, like, don't just think about it. Talk to someone about it. Like, do some research. Call someone. Talk to your spouse. Talk to your friend. The next time you go into the corner store that you always go into to buy gas, talk to the person behind the counter. They might be the owner, or they might give you some insight. People are scared of change, but that's because change brings unknown. So if you turn unknown into more of a known, well, it's not going to be that scary. And you might find out that that's not for you, but at least you'll know. And for me, I was realizing, like I was saying, more and more that this is something that I can do. And so I think if you're thinking about a small business, but you haven't done it, well, vet it out a little bit, talk to someone, figure it out, look at some numbers, try to decide if it's something that you should do or not. You don't want to be, they always say, you don't want to be on your deathbed and wishing you had done something. Well, it's well, go figure it out. And if it's not for you, well, then and you're not going to be questioning yourself for the rest of your career at your job. But
and they do say that on your deathbed, you'll mourn the things that you didn't do way more than the things that you did.
Right. So, figure it out. If it's for you, great. If it's not,
I
then
love that.
move on.
Figure it out. I love that. I love that. And Mark, I will tell you that you have to step up to the plate. You can't hit a home run if you don't strike out. You're gonna strike out. It's gonna happen. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna screw some things up. You learn from that. You use that as a teaching experience. He just said my favorite words that I preach to my boys each and every day. Figure it out. Figure it out. Figure it out. That's what you have to do. You have to ask those questions. You have to take that challenge. You have to have the courage to go forward. A lot of times in my business, I meet some people who what I call analysis by paralysis. They're so focused on looking at a deal, or they want to figure out I want this business. Oh, but these are the bad things. Well, we all have warts. We all have warts. You're all going to have something that goes wrong or that isn't good. So you got to use that as a how do we project out? How do we make it better? How do we go from here to here? And again, I think Wes said it again. You got to figure it out. You just got to figure
Michael,
it out.
what's your advice, or what should people do who want to make the transition from paycheck job to business owner? How can they do that with the brokerage services company that you have?
Well, I think the first thing is to just give me a call. And I'm not going to BS you. I'm not going to give you, I have a saying that I say in my office each and every day to all the people that come and visit me. If it's dandelions I'm bringing you, I'll bring you dandelions. If it's roses, I'll give you roses. But come talk to me. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out what your budget is, what type of income we're replacing. What are your fears? What are your questions? And I'll help you walk through the entire process from birth to death and everything.
And you could take a lot of the fear out of the unknowns that they don't know about the actual process, so they can concentrate on limoncello or whatever it is.
Yeah, talking to their wife or talking to their husband or talking to their significant other. The brokerage service, again, our broker, and I'm not trying to tout our brokerage service, but
you should though, because it's the best. What's the number? How do they get in contact with you guys?
You could go to our website, which is denverbbs.com, Denver BBS Business Brokerage Services. You can give me a call on my cell phone, 303-472-3703. I've had that number since 1996.
And Daniel, we're going to get all that stuff in the notes.
And, give me an email, michael@denverbbs.com. But I'll tell you, you just have to take that. You have to take the initiative. You have to take the plunge. And I will tell you that for every 100 people I put in a business, 99 of them have succeeded. You asked earlier about the ones the train wrecks. Yeah, those happen.
That's just my own morbid
curiosity.
That's all.
But you gotta have the courage to move forward.
But I mean, the thing that I love is, somebody out there is running a liquor store for somebody else.
Yeah.
I mean, they are doing a great job, and they're stacking up the beer pyramids, and they're cleaning everything, and they're working their butt off for somebody else, when maybe it's time for them to get, they've got their savings together. They didn't know they could do it, and maybe, you're encouraging somebody to get out there and buy their own business, Colorado Springs. Maybe there's somebody working in some other liquor store in Colorado Springs, and they're thinking, hopefully it's not one of your employees, because I don't want to do that. But, they're thinking, gosh, I should do that. Wes did it, and he didn't even live here. I mean, to me, that's what's exciting in life, to me. I love that kind of thing. That's just the sheer triumph of, that night when you were closing that liquor store down after you had the closing at 9 a.m, and when you're just kind of turning that sign over and you're going, holy crap. I mean, this is a real thing. This is my, I don't know if you just take a bottle out and take a shot on the counter for yourself. I don't know if you're allowed to do that. If you're not, don't say, that you did that, but I know you did.
The thing that I found interesting is that it doesn't really require any skilled labor. I mean, like, we don't sell that much wine at our store. We sell more liquor than anything. And I could get someone who's a wine expert, but you scan a UPC, you greet the customer, oh, there's only 3 on the shelf, but there's space for 4, so I'll take one out of the back room and stick it on the shelf. It's like, I mean, training for a new person, it doesn't last very long. And so, sometimes I sit around and I'm like, well, how much value am I bringing here right now? I don't really need to be here because, like, they're doing everything that needs to be done.
The key is just be nice
Yeah, I mean,
to the customers that come in the store.
I mean, like my store happens, like I said, it's been around for, like 50 years. So like, it's probably not going to go anywhere unless you like intentionally try to run it into the ground. You know
Sure.
what I mean? And so it's like, yeah, be nice, put products on the shelf and, bag up the stuff. It's like kind of, 1, 2, 3 ABC type of stuff. It's like, I figured I could do that.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
Well,
you've done it successfully.
congratulations. I just think that's a wonderful story. Daniel, any parting thoughts?
Nope. Thanks for coming on, Wes. Your story is really exciting, and I like to hear somebody just doing it. A lot of people talk about dreams and whatever, and I call it the castle in the sky thing, where it's like, oh, there's my solution up there. I have no idea how to go from here to there, and so forget it. So I really like to hear the story of somebody who just did it. It's great.
Right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Michael, as always, for coming on. It's great. And thank you for everybody who listened and participated and commented and chimed in during the show. Without you guys, we would not have a show. So thank you.
And
all
this
for
first
listening.
month of 2020 went fast.
It did.
February, we've got a bunch of really cool guests. Larry from Tokyo Joe's, the founder of Tokyo Joe's,
Nice.
is going to come in and be on the
That's
show.
going to be an exciting one, yeah.
Teresa Burney is going to come in. She runs a karate studio, and she's overcome a bunch with a car accident that she had. And she has become kind of a self-defense damsel and an inspirational speaker on TED. And we've got 2 or 3 other really good ones that are lined up. And then we might even have this guy back again with another one of his people that he knows.
Well, we brought Wes, and Wes was a very good success story for Wes, and we'll see what we can do.
And we're all about small businesses. So please, if you have an interest in knowing about small businesses, or you have a small business, or you have questions, or you like to just eavesdrop and see what other people are doing, like us and subscribe on the YouTube channel, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast on your iTunes or your Google Play or whatever. And
Hey, one thing to note for you guys who are listening here. Sorry to jump in there. But if you want to be notified when we go live again, it's every Monday night at 6:30. However, if you want Facebook to tell you and remind you, there is a little button at the top that says notify me of this show. So you can find that, and we got a better instructions on how to do that in a bit. But
there's
subscribe to the
a
show.
podcast show group. There's also a podcast show page, and we try to kind of keep putting content up there as we go, so you can kind of follow along some things if you join those groups. And just again, thank you so much for being part of our show.
All right. Until next week, this has been the Mark Hope Show. I am your producer, Daniel Kelly, and we will see you next week. Thanks, everybody, for listening.